This one is called the sonic spin, and it is appropriately named because it spins very quickly. So you definitely should be comfortable spinning at a fairly good rate. Granted, not all poles spin the same, and you should definitely be comfortable and solid with a pole sit. Okay, because that's definitely going to come into play with this. So let's talk about what's happening with our points of contact before we make this motion spin. Is your inside leg is going to start on the pole. It doesn't have to be all the way up at your hip, but you don't want to have it out here at the knee. Otherwise, it's going to feel extra sketch. So you want to make sure you at least get mid-thigh or bring it in. Okay, so I've got a contact point on my upper thigh and then a contact on the outer part of my lower leg here that's pushing into the pole. And then as we go into the spin, I like kind of dramatizing it and swimming the arms through. This front arm is then going to whip back, which gives us another little contact point here. Okay, so this spin can be done different ways, like many moves in pole, but usually the way it goes is whichever direction my knee is pointing, that's the direction I'm spinning. So in this case, if it's my left knee, I'm going to end up spinning counterclockwise, okay, which means left knee, left arm. The opposite leg, it's not going to come into play quite like a pole sit where your thighs are more together. Instead, as I rotate, this leg is going to come behind the pole, okay? Which means that second leg, your contact point is going to end up somewhere on that thigh, okay? You can, of course, take this into more of a pole sit kind of move if that feels more comfortable for you and you prefer that. That's actually how we're going to exit this spin anyway, okay? So our setup, you've got make sure you have a little space away from that foot, not too far. I'd recommend like hip width-ish, okay? And there's some variation in that. You just don't want to be too close because that kind of pushes you a little off balance. And if you are too far away, they're going to be a little fall into the spin. And I find if my foot is farther away, it also makes my elevation on the spin even lower, which does make getting out of it smoothly more of a challenge, okay? So roughly hip width, shoulder width apart, give or take, okay? Inside leg is going to hook, contact point on the thigh, contact point on the inner leg. From here, let's see, arms are going to fan through that inside arm. You're going to look towards that shoulder and we're going to swing that leg, that foot that is on the ground. The ball of your foot can stay on the ground as long as you want. Yes, you can do this on heels. You'll be on your toe box kind of rolling off, okay? So I'm going to whip here. Optional, additional contact point here. Let's talk about that. Is if this move is feeling like, oh my gosh, there's a lot going on here, and there is when this first arm whips, this second arm, you can also grab the pole right here. So this is a totally optional contact point. If it feels more secure for you, feel free to grab here. Technically, we don't need it to stay in this move, as in it's not a required contact point, but in a new move, I always encourage you to use all the contact points that make you feel safe and secure in it as you start to feel comfortable. And then if eventually down the road you decide you don't want that hand, feel free to take it off, okay? So those arms come through, first arm whips, second arm right here, or that other arm can just go out. It can grab your leg wherever you want it to be, okay? So that is our entrance into our sonic spin. You saw it gets spinning pretty fast. So let's talk about what we're going to do to get out of this. And I'm going to put the pole on static just because as I'm spinning around and around, like I said, this is one that kind of goes pretty fast. It might be kind of hard for you to see what is going on here. So we're going to lock this pole into static. Okay, so our positioning we've got here, legs, my back leg is behind the pole and we're here. I'm going to reach up with my inside arm, bring the back leg around, and I'm into a pole sit, okay? And then, I of course have slid down, you can take it into a climb, okay? With this one, I find, like I lost a little elevation coming down out of that. Part of that, I'm talking to you and doing it. Also, the centripetal force actually does kind of help hold you into the move a little bit more. On static, you are gonna tend to slide a little bit. Order of operations, okay? This inside arm, I took it up. Do not take that inside arm up unless you have this hand here, okay? If this hand is out, you don't want this arm to come up first, okay? Because we're spinning so fast, it's going to throw us off the pole. So if this outside hand is here, you can bring the inside hand up and then the leg switch. And it's up to you which of those things you switch first. If you switch the leg that's behind the pole around to the front to take it to kind of a pole sit to prep for a climb or to take it back to the floor, or if you switch the arm first, they can happen both at the same time. Arm first, leg first, arm first. It's personal preference. Okay. So this move, like many moves in pole, has a little bit of a trust fall. Okay. Just like any move, there is never a rush to go to the next step. Okay. It might help you to kind of like I just did here, walk through the contact points and what's happening with it on static before you take it into the full move on spin. Okay. I would say for me personally, trying to go into it at full speed on static feels weird and doesn't feel locked in. So if I am going to go into it like fully committed without like tick, tick, tick through like I did there, I'd rather for it to be on spin, but that might be just me. But I also really like spin. Okay. So let's just recap real quick. What's going on? Outside leg, roughly shoulder width away from the pole. Inside leg, hook, contact point at that upper thigh and lower outside leg. Arms are going to thread through. You're going to whip, option with the grab, arm, leg, pulse it, option to climb, or whatever other move you want to do. And that is your sonic spin. So make sure you got your contact points locked in, try it out, have some funsies with it. Don't spin yourself too crazy with it because this one definitely gets crazy. But let me know how it goes.